Hello and welcome to Cardinal Clips. My name is Kathy Leadham, Superintendent for the Willmar Public Schools, and we thank you for joining us for this program which is designed to acquaint you with the people and the programs that make up your school system. This particular edition of Cardinal Clips is devoted to the 2005 Hall of Fame inductees. The Cardinal Pride organization for the Willmar Public Schools goes all out, really, in identifying Hall of Fame recipients from year to year, and we are just absolutely delighted this year to honor the new inductees. Joining me for the first segment of this edition is Wade Adamson, who is an instructor here in the Willmar Public Schools in our physical education department, and the son of the late Russ Adamson, who is one of the inductees in this year's Hall of Fame. So welcome to the program, Wade.
Thank you.
Well, certainly this is a very special time for you and your family as your father is honored for all the contributions that he made to the Willmar Public Schools in really a number of capacities. Tell us a little bit about some of the areas that your dad was involved in from an athletic standpoint in his career with the Willmar Public Schools.
Well, I guess he would be best known as the head basketball coach here in Willmar, which he actually came to Willmar for and began in 1956, and then he coached until 1971. In the basketball area, I know he was for a short time an assistant football coach when he first got here, and then he ended up his career as a coach, as the high school baseball coach, head baseball coach, and then from that actually ended his career in education as the athletic director here.
When you think about all of those roles, which are very high-profile roles in a school system, what are some of the memories that sort of immediately come to mind for you as a child growing up in a household where your father was very, very busy not only with his teaching career, but certainly with all of the coaching responsibilities that he had, especially prior to being an athletic director?
Well, I guess the biggest memories for me would be the fact that I got to be around all those star athletes and all those kids that I looked up to, and I got to be shoulder to shoulder with them, and they were always very kind and treated me very well. Not probably because who I was, but because I was the coach's son, and so they always treated me kind. I still have some contact and enjoy bumping into his ex-players to this day. I guess the other thing would probably be even my kids say that it's a lot of pressure growing up being your son and or daughter, and that's kind of the way I felt when I was growing up. And your dad is a high profile person, you kind of take it upon yourself, or you put pressures on yourself that maybe aren't real or aren't there. But I guess it turns out as you grow older, those things benefit you, and I think you become a better person for it.
Well, certainly your father was the leader of many, many accomplishments for various teams and for the school system in general. When you think about all of those highlights and accomplishments, and you sort of reflect on conversations that you had with your dad, what probably stood out in his mind as some of the things that he was most proud of in his coaching career?
I guess the thing I get most from it is that he really enjoyed teaching kids about life more than I think about athletics. I mean, he was a great teacher as far as athletics and everything else was concerned, but he was, in those days, they really taught a kid discipline. He was very demanding of his athletes, and I think at times maybe his athletes at the time it was happening weren't real excited to be involved with my dad. But as the years go by, it seems like, especially when he passed away, some of the letters that you get from ex-athletes really made you realize that what he was doing wasn't just teaching them to be an athlete, but it was teaching them to be a human being.
Well, that's certainly such a great point, because really in our school system we're very proud of all the athletic opportunities, but we know that the character development that comes about through participating in any of these sports or any of our other activities are really the aspects that have that lasting effect that go on throughout life. So it's very interesting and appropriate that you would recognize that, and the fact that your dad made many, many contributions to the lives of the young people that he worked with. We also know that these types of positions are very demanding from a time standpoint. What are your memories and reflections about the time that it took for your dad to be a coach and ultimately an activities director?
He always felt that in order to do something right, he needed to put maximum amount of time into it and make sure that he was doing the job right. And I guess my early memories is that when I was growing up in activities and things, that my dad wasn't present at those things because he was committed to his position as a coach, or as even when he was an athletic director, and which made the decision where he had to sacrifice of whether he was going to be involved in his children's and family things, or if he was going to continue on with his profession and be the best he could be in his profession. And I think he made the right choice because his gifts were where he was using them. And I guess to be that way, you really do need to make a commitment. And I think that's probably the thing I'm most proud of him of.
Well, of course, being inducted into the Willmar Public Schools Cardinal Pride Hall of Fame is a significant accomplishment and really an honor to your dad's memory. But I understand that he also has been recognized in other noteworthy ways. What are some of the other Hall of Fame type acknowledgments that your father has received?
He was, I believe, the first Hall of Fame award that he was presented was at St. Olaf, his college alma mater, where he had went and lettered for 4 years in 3 different sports, which was a 12-letter winner, and I think at the time was probably the first to accomplish that. So he is in the St. Olaf Athletic Sports Hall of Fame, and then he was inducted into the athletic directors Minnesota State High School Athletic Directors Hall of Fame, and then the most recent one before this was the Minnesota State High School Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame. So, yeah, he's been honored many different ways, and from the people that I run into around the state, very deserving.
Well, it certainly sounds that he is very deserving of all of these honors. He accomplished much on behalf of the school system, but as you're relating to us, he accomplished a lot on behalf of students and young people, and that's quite a legacy to leave from a person's life. And we just congratulate you and your family for this honor that's being bestowed on your dad and his memory, and for all of the accomplishments that he made. Certainly there's a lot of athleticism that has stayed in your family. You were very successful from an athletic standpoint, and your children are. Do you just care to comment at all regarding what it takes to be so accomplished from an athletic standpoint?
Genetically, that plays a part of it. I was fortunate enough to be born as a son to him, which kind of put me in a category where I had the possibility of inheriting those genes. But I also think a lot of it has to do with exposure to this at an early age. When I look around, and maybe their parents weren't athletic, but if they've had their children exposed to the atmosphere and the surrounding, and it's part of their home lifestyle, which it was as my children were growing up and as I was growing up. So I think it's a combination of both genetics and just exposure and the love of the competition and I guess being active.
Well, Wade, we certainly appreciate your contributions to the Willmar Public Schools, and again extend our best wishes to all of your family members who are really sharing in the honor that's being bestowed on your father and his memory. And we appreciate your contributions to the Willmar Public Schools, just as many, many people appreciated those of Russ Adamson, one of the 2005 Hall of Fame inductees.